welcome to Enlightened Vids. Today we're going to do a tutorial on how to start a top-down fire. Top-down fire is basically an upside-down fire. Unlike the traditional method with the smaller pieces of wood at the bottom and the larger pieces of wood at the top, we're going to start with the larger pieces of wood at the bottom, which is why I call it a top-down fire. So, first thing we're going to do is you're just going to use a piece of wood here or a shovel to just move the ashes a little bit. I like to put the ashes a little bit to each side just to create a little bit of a pile so that the wood, our bottom pieces of wood will be slightly elevated off of the bottom of the wood stove to create a little bit of draft. So we'll start with our two pieces. I'm going to go ahead and open up my airflow. So here's our two bigger pieces at the top. I got to come over here to my wood pile and pick out a couple of medium-sized pieces to go on the next level. So I'll go with these two. Should be good. Put them down in there. Maybe get one more. There we go. Now we start with some smaller pieces. These are going to be a couple pieces of pallet wood. Here we'll throw in here as well. Alright, and then as you see, as we get higher, the pieces get smaller toward the top here. So just remember, it's the top-down fire. Top-down fire here. All right, so by the time we get to the top, we want some very, very, very small pieces. Things that are going to light up really fast and really easy. Okay? Usually you put wood newspaper all the way at the bottom with little pieces like this, and you work your way to the top with the larger pieces, and that method creates a lot of smoke, and sometimes you get a lot of what they call false starts, where the fire never really starts. But this method starts out with a hot flame where the hot coals fall down into the other portions of the... Okay, so now we got our small pieces of wood on the top here. Last thing we want to do is put our newspaper in. So I'm going to put the newspaper on top of this. Just like I said, it's an upside down fire, so we start with the news, we finish with the newspaper on the top. Okay? Another reason why this is good, in our home, our house is so well insulated that what you can tend to create is a backdraft, where when you first start a fire, the draft from the chimneys coming down push the smoke into the house. The upside down method starts with a newspaper on the top, which burns really hot, really fast, and enables you to get a upward draft going before you really get the fire started. So in addition, just to help out, I'm going to have my assistant Caleb go ahead and crack the door on the other side of the room, which will also help to get a draft going up and out of the house. So I'm going to start my newspaper off to the side a little bit. Like I said, the purpose of this is to get that upward draft going. So I'm going to start this little piece over here. This is just to get that upward draft started. Eventually, this other newspaper will light as well. There's the light. So that hot newspaper fire is enabling this draft to work its way up the chimney so that we don't get a house full of smoke. Always got to get an upward draft flowing first. Throw another piece in there just to, like I said, get that upward draft going. And you'll see that these small pieces of kindling wood will get going very shortly. You can see some of this kindling's already starting to catch. What happens is, as these small pieces burn, the coals fall down into the next level. They each work their way down, catching the next level down on fire. Pretty much shouldn't have to touch it from here on out. Sometimes I'll put newspaper in the middle a little bit as well, but this time I wanted to put the newspaper on the top so we have the true upside down fire without the newspaper in the middle. So literally you have the newspaper at the top, the smallest kindling, and the largest pieces you work your way down. So by now we definitely have an upward draft going. I usually leave the door cracked for a little while until the fire's going a little better, just to be certain. Looks like we got ourselves a fire. As you can see, we've got a nice little fire getting going here. See our top level pieces are going. Notice there's very little smoke. And what's neat about the top down fire is that typically when your fire is at the bottom, the pieces on the top tend to smoke. And you tend to get more smoke out the chimney, which is a less efficient fire. With the top down fire, you have more flame at the top. So these lower pieces that are begin to smoke as the fire works its way down, the smoke actually tends to burn before it goes up the chimney. So you'll have a lot less smoke coming out of the chimney, and less smoke out the chimney means you have a more efficient fire. Now at this point in time, I can actually close these doors. This type of wood stove, which is an Excalibur wood stove. I think it's the XP90. This draws air from the exterior of the house, which is also creates for a more efficient wood burning stove, rather than the air coming from inside the house pulling heated air out. This pulls fresh air from outside the house into the wood stove, and that's to this vent here. I have it wide open, so that's why this is closed, yet that fire is burning nice and hot. I won't close that vent until I have a nice, really good bed of hot coals. All right, welcome back. We got our fire going here for a little while now. Really just about 5 minutes. And you see what we have here. This is all burning very well. Pieces down here are all actually caught aflame now. The coals are falling down, and before you know it, our bottom pieces will be going. This fire is burning very hot right now. So we'll have those bottom pieces going in no time. We'll have a nice bed of hot coals that burn just about anything. I keep my vent wide open. Now once my blower, which has a temperature switch, once that kicks on, sometimes I may go in and close the vent, slow down the fire a little bit so it doesn't get too hot. But I'll just let that go till I have a bed of hot coals. All right, we'll see you back in a bit. See that we got a nice bed of coals here. Top down fire method works well for us, and I don't have to put it in there right now, but I'm going to go ahead and throw a couple of bigger pieces in there and we'll be good to go. Fire's burning so hot, I want to put my leather fire gloves on here. That's how hot this fire is burning. Now continue to leave my air vent on until those pieces of wood get going really well. But I will maybe close it maybe a little bit. I'm burning too hot. And that'll conclude our video on the top-down fire approach to starting your wood burning stove fire.